want to do the cat hat intro?
No. Thank you, though. Hey, hello, people. Glad you're here. Anne-Sophie, Sky, Lillian, welcome. Can one of you guys post in the WhatsApp group for your class, please, that this live stream has started, in case somebody's on there rather than online on the live stream? That'd be great. Thank you. Jovi. Okay, 4 of you so far. Let's see. Some more people are coming on right now. Aiden, hello. Back down to 5. There were some people on here who were maybe wrong. Don't know. Okay. Did somebody post in the group, the WhatsApp group chat, I guess what you call it, that this is happening? Could you let me know? Hope you did. Even though. Hi, Adrian. Thank you, Sky. Adrian's here. Good. I'm guessing most people who are not here just are sleeping. Hi, Antonin. There you go. Sadlin, hi. Okay, let me see. We got 1, 2, 5, 8 so far. That's out of 17. Yeah, well, not over 50%. I think somebody else is going to show up, I hope. It's only 9:01. And, oh, they're back down to 8. Okay, hope everybody is well. We're doing well here. It's a beautiful day out here. Looks nice. Probably a good day to go for a run. I hope some of you guys are remembering to exercise and, you know, all that stuff. It's important. So it's healthy. And it's also good for your emotional balance. Not that you guys need emotional balance, especially, just like all of us right now. I think that's helpful. So go for a long walk, go for a run, those kind of things. Enjoy the sun in that sense. Obviously don't, you know, sunbathe or something. It's not warm enough for that anyway, but you get the idea. So go for a run, something like that. I was seeing if people were going to show up, and I'll just start by talking about what I think is going to happen. I don't think we have any new information regarding whether we're going back to school on April 20th. As far as I know, I didn't check my email this morning yet. I could do that now. That'd be weird, kind of. I can do it. Okay. So let me see. If I click on here, do I still show up? I guess I do. Go. It's really. Oh, this is lightning fast. It's pretty amazing. Here we go. All right. All right. Okay. Okay. Nothing new regarding the schedule from Herr Schultz or anything like that. Okay. So let's see. It's still the same group. I guess we'll just get started with whom we have. I've got everybody's name who I said here marked as present. If other people, oh, hey Eddie, how's it going? That brings us right over 50%. Okay, here we go. I have a couple things for you. First of all, I will have a activity, a lab activity ready for you guys. I'm working on getting that ready. I got it out for 7, 8, and 9. You guys are unfortunately last. Good morning, Jonah. But there will be a lab activity on PhET posted. Obviously, that's not due right now. It's going to be due after break, a while after break. And I'll let you know about that, but I think it's important for us to not lose track of interacting with the physical world. So it is physics after all. So today, what I wanted to do is talk about a couple things here regarding this relationship. Okay, V equals F lambda. We introduced that, and we talked about how these quantities are related. Just a reminder what these things mean. V is the wave speed. F is the frequency. Lambda is the wavelength. And not listed here is the period. And the relationship there is that the period, whoops, let's do it this way. Normally we write it like this, that the frequency is equal to 1 divided by the period. Is that showing up on the screen? Not really. Okay. There we go. That shows up. So, okay. So those are our relationships. Last time we took some time talking about sound waves and light waves traveling at a very large speed and how far away things were, like the moon, the sun, etc. Today we're going to look at this relationship relating wave velocity to frequency and wavelength. And specifically, we're going to take that relationship, and as you normally know, we kind of put it into an Idiotendreieck for those of us who are not so excited about the algebra. We put it around like this, so we realize, oh, we can write it like this. But we can also write it as F is equal to V over lambda, and we can also write it as lambda is equal to V over F. Okay, and that'll be very helpful for us when we think about sound waves and light waves. Let's talk about sound waves first. Now, when we talk about sound, the question I have for you, do we generally talk about this as F or lambda? Do we normally talk about sound waves in terms of their frequency, or do we normally talk about sound waves in terms of their wavelength lambda? And obviously you don't have a lambda, so you could write an L here in the chat and tell me what you think is the correct answer in terms of how we talk about sound waves. Do we say this is a sound wave with a certain frequency, or will we normally say this is a sound wave with a certain wavelength? Okay, put it in the chat and let's see where we are. Aiden's changing here, frequency, okay. Okay, the other people, you guys have opinions, F or L? Coffee's really good for waking up, by the way. Little advertisement there. Oh, okay. Well, I guess other people aren't contributing. Let's leave it at that. That is correct. Indeed, normally we talk about sound in terms of frequency. Okay, that's normally the way we talk about these. We say there's a sound wave, a tone that has a certain frequency, a certain pitch. A high pitch musical note, for example, has a high frequency. That's the way we talk about it. Now, when we talk about this, it's helpful to get, for example, an idea of what kind of frequencies we're talking about. Okay, so the human ear is only able to hear certain frequencies. And do you guys know what's the lowest? So hang on. So let's go. Audible frequency range. Do you guys know what the smallest frequency is the human ear can approximately hear? So your ear can hear frequencies as low as what number of hertz? Hertz, abbreviated like this. And here's the maximum value underneath. We'll just talk about that in a second. So what's the lowest frequency you can hear? Do you guys know? Anybody know? Are they Googling it, Ben, you think? All right, maybe they're Googling it. I'm not sure. That's not a terrible thing if they're Googling it, is it? All right, we'll see what they're doing. 20 hertz. Thank you, Eddie. That's correct. So 20 hertz is the lowest frequency that's audible to the human ear. And do you guys know what the highest frequency is by any chance? What's the highest frequency that the human ear is audible, for which the human ear works? Any ideas? Good guess, Anne-Sophie. Too low. Higher.
What did you guess?
500.
What? That was a 200.
Good guess. Higher. Higher than 1600. Even higher than that. Try again.
1,800.
Sky 2000. Even more. 7. 6000. Even more.
10,000.
20,000. Good job, Adrian. It is indeed 20,000 hertz is the approximate value. And this might be a good time for you to insult me and say, well, we were thinking of the range of frequencies you can hear, Mr. Blessman, because we know you're kind of old, and older people, as they age, lose the higher frequencies. They cut out. You might have heard about this before. There's some annoying app that you can use where you can generate a high frequency tone that younger people can still hear, but older people can't. And older in this case means starting around 40. And I am over 40, spoiler alert. So I'm losing range above that. So maybe you guys can still hear 18,000, 15,000, and so on, but I can't hear that range anymore. Either way, your hearing range is sensitive to that, but you can't hear the highest frequencies very well. So the better range to think about is maybe a little lower frequencies. Okay, so and specifically what I wanted to mention for you, audible frequency range is a piano. A piano has a range. Oh, let's use a different pen. I like this one. Blue. Here we go. A piano. Some of you might play piano. So a piano goes from the lowest note is A0. Okay, and the highest note on a piano, standard piano keyboard, is C8. Okay, and that range is 27.5 hertz for A0 to 4,186 hertz. Okay, so cutting out the highest frequencies, a piano actually is pretty good at having the full range of audible hearing, except for the very highest frequencies that aren't really that easy to hear for humans anyway. Okay, so CDs, for example, can record up to 22,000 hertz, just another little fact for you. Now, let's look at those. And specifically, let's look at the lowest number here, the 20 hertz. And the question I have for you is, what is that wavelength for that sound wave at 20 hertz? A 20 hertz sound wave is how long? What is the length, the wavelength of that? Okay, and how will we do that? Well, we've got our Idiotendreieck. We put our fingers over the lambda, and we see it's V divided by F. V divided by F. Okay, and that means, of course, well, we're going to use the standard speed here, 343 meters per second, which is the speed of sound at standard temperature and pressure, or room temperature, something like that. I'm not sure which one it is. And we divide by 20 hertz. Good. And then we get 343 divided by 20, which is 17 meters. Okay, so hi, Bella. So we get a sound wave with a length of 17 meters, just to give you an idea of how big that is, okay? So that's obviously 2 soccer goals. That's okay, Bella. So 2 soccer goals wide, a little wider than that. A goal is 8 yards wide, or about 7 meters. a soccer goal, which is pretty wide. So this is a big distance. It's also the length from the baseline in a soccer game to the top of the penalty box, approximately. Okay, so there we go. 17 meters is that. And let's take a look at the wavelength for the highest one here. I'm going to ask you to do that one. Let's do this in orange. Here we go. So here's the highest frequency. Whoopsie. There we go. And let's find the frequency there. I'm just going to, the wavelength for that, I'm going to write 20 kilohertz. Okay, I'm going to ask you to find that number. Okay. No, there's no decimal point in 4186. So the frequency, high frequency per piano is 4,186 hertz. So you guys find, does that show up? Not really well. That orange pen is crap. Okay, let's go then. We have blue, we have black, maybe green. I need to get new pens again. These pens are not that great. All right. I know, but they're not that good. 20 kilo. That's better. Maybe I just got to use just the pens that show up. So what is the wavelength for? Okay, good. Thank you, Panda. All right. Now, I think that's right. But generally, we don't talk that way. So what I mean by that is we use numbers in a certain way, and we don't normally talk about lengths that are 0.017 meters. Instead of 0.017 meters, how would we express that number as a normal person? Good, thank you. All right, good. Little mistake there, Eddie, on the shifting of the decimal point. That happens, no big deal. Good, centimeters, good. So that's a reasonable way to express that, to say 1.7 centimeters, or you could say 17 millimeters. Either way is fine. Let's write it down here as 1.7 centimeters, which is of course about yay, okay? That distance between my thumb and my index finger here is about 1.7 centimeters. So it's a good range for you to have in mind to think about how big sound waves are. They're range from about a couple centimeters to about 20 meters, 2 to 20 centimeters, 1.7 centimeters to 20 meters in terms of how large they are. So when you're hearing sound, people talking, music playing, etc., the sound waves that are interacting with your ears are in that range of maybe a couple centimeters to about 20 meters long, just to give you an idea. Good. Now, let's take this idea now and let's go over and talk about light. And I'll ask you the same question again. When we talk about light, do we talk about light in terms of its frequency, or do we talk about light in terms of its wavelength? How do we talk about, 20 kilohertz is just, 1,000 is a kilo, so 20,000 is 20 kilohertz. So when we talk about light waves, how do we talk about them? Do we say this light wave has a certain frequency? Or do we say that light wave has a certain wavelength? How do we talk about that? So just type in the chat either F or L. F or L as your answer in terms of what you think, how we talk about light waves. Okay. All right. So the majority is tending towards lambda, and some of you are saying frequency. If you don't know, you don't know. That's okay. I'm glad we're talking about it. It is wavelength the way we talk about it, and the reason for that is because the frequencies are so bleeping large. We'll get to that in just a second. We'll actually get to try it out. But the frequencies that light is at are so big that it's ridiculous, which is funny because the speed of light is so huge. Remember, it's 3 times 10 to the 8 meters per second. So if you have tiny wavelengths, you'd have to have unbelievable amount of frequencies, and the wavelengths are very, very small. So here is, again, ideal, the similar thing here. We are talking about wavelength. So the visible, to the human eye, the visible wavelength visible wavelengths, okay, good, are in the range. I'm not going to have you guess it because if you don't know, you don't know. It's kind of it would be very, very difficult. It's about 380 to 740 nanometers. Okay, that's what wavelengths the human eye can record, and they don't know any age differences there. So those are the range of wavelengths that you can see, and this is kind of a little bit difficult to remember, I find, but it's not a bad idea, I think personally, to know some things. Hey, knowing things is good. Obviously, I'm a teacher. So the idea that the audible frequency range is 20 to 20,000 hertz, and that the visible wavelengths range from about 400 to 700 nanometers. Now, nano is very, very small. That is a billionth, 10 to the minus 9. Okay, we're gonna get to other stuff in just a second, but that's the visible range. Now, that's kind of scary, especially if you think about it, because if we're saying the visible range for light is 400 to 700 nanometers, well, that means that there's also invisible light. Invisible light. That seems strange because that's not the way we think about it. But just as there's inaudible sound, frequencies that are too low and frequencies that are too high, there are also wavelengths that are too short or too long for our eyes to see. So that's invisible light. And Severin mentioned just now one type of invisible light are radio waves. Okay, so let's get to those. And let's take a look at this range here. Here we go. Yep, exactly, Louis. So let's talk about those. And we have in the English language a little ditty how to remember all the colors of visible light, the colors of the rainbow. Okay, do you guys know that little mnemonic device, how to remember the colors of the rainbow? If you do, write it in the chat. Okay, ooh, is that where your chat is? I guess, yeah, that's where my chat is. Anyway, so write in the chat, what are the letters that start the colors of the rainbow? Oh, maybe nobody knows. It's possible. Do you guys not know? Okay, I'll give you a reminder. It starts with a name, and the name is Roy. There, very close, Adrian. You're missing one letter. Good guess. The last two are kind of weird. We have the indigo, but there's also violet. So Roy G. Biv is the, yeah. These two are kind of both purple, especially if you're a man. They're kind of hard to distinguish. Okay, so Roy G. Biv is the sequence of colors that are the visible colors. Okay, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Okay, and indigo is pretty close to violet anyway, so it's kind of hard to distinguish. But earlier on, Lillian pointed out that we have also ultraviolet. Okay, oopsie, I kind of gave something away a little bit. So these guys are the visible range, and just in terms of the wavelengths, we have about 700 nanometers here, and then violet over here, it ends at about 400 nanometers there. So you see that in this sequence, they are sorted from longest wavelength to shortest wavelength. So the way it's traditionally written is actually from small frequency to large frequency. So red is long wavelength, but small frequency. Okay, and let's talk briefly about the rest of this electromagnetic spectrum, which is the name of this thing. And we'll get to talk about that a little bit more, but all of these waves, including light waves, are electromagnetic waves. They're oscillating electric and magnetic fields that are self-propagating. Whoa, crazy. But anyway, so there is a word called ultra, which means beyond. And of course, therefore, it makes sense that ultraviolet is beyond violet on this range here. Ultraviolet is placed over here. UV standing for ultraviolet. Now, you guys have interacted with ultraviolet rays when you've gotten a sunburn. The sun produces ultraviolet rays and they actually damage the skin because they are beyond visible light. They have more energy than violet regular light. Okay, but you know light waves that are even more energetic than that. Okay, so even more energetic, we already have on here gamma rays, which are the most energetic. So I'll put those on here. Here goes gamma. Gamma waves, gamma rays are the most energetic electromagnetic waves that are produced in, yes, nuclear bombs. They're produced in radioactive decay reactions. They're created in fusion reactions. They're very, very energetic. Yes, you can't see any of those. You can't see UV, you can't see gamma, and you can't see this one either that you've also interacted with when you've gone to the dentist. Okay, when you go to the dentist, sometimes they will use invisible light to take a picture of the inside of your head. Whoa, crazy. So what are those called? X-rays, that's right. So we call them X-rays, or we being Americans. That is also the letter that the name that alpha or beta rays are actually particles. We talk about those when we talk about nuclear physics. So alpha and beta rays are not actual electromagnetic waves. They are particles. Alpha particles are helium cores. Beta particles are electrons. Okay, so X-rays is what the discoverer of X-rays called them. X-Strahlen, because he was a modest man. He didn't name it after himself, but then Germans later on named them after him, of course, because he discovered them. And his name is Röntgen. So in Deutsch, auf Deutsch, Röntgenstrahlen. Yeah, Röntgenstrahlen, X-rays in English, but that's also the word that Röntgen himself used for them. Now, let's look over here. We've got the stuff that's beyond violet, ultraviolet. And over here as well, we have below. The infrastructure is the structure that sits underneath the economy. Under red is the infrared range, infrared. And infrared are warmth rays, if you want to think about it. Anything that has temperature radiates. So because the house we live in, etc., has a temperature that's lower than the temperature of the sun, we radiate in the infrared range. So if you use infrared goggles, okay, for example, which you shouldn't normally unless you're hunting in the military or sneaking around being creepy. So infrared goggles is not really something you should be using, but you can see light that comes from the heat of mostly humans, probably, or animals or whatever. Yes, heat lamps put these up. Anything that has a temperature. Infrared is right here. And then below infrared, infrared is another kind of wave that I used this morning to make my oatmeal. Yummy, but very good. Oatmeal is very good for you. You should eat a lot of oatmeal. It's very healthy. So below that is microwave. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then we have one thing below that. And the last part here is the one that's below microwave in terms of its frequency, and that is radio. And TV. So you guys are kind of young for this. Marie Curie discovered a bunch of stuff, but I don't think she's generally credited with discovery of the X-ray. She's discovered with the discovery of several aspects of radiation, but I don't think X-rays. So TV can also be transmitted through the airwaves, actually, although most of the time it's now brought by cable. Anyway, that's the electromagnetic range. The wavelengths of radio can be very long, meters, even hundreds or kilometers, whereas gamma rays are very, very short, femtometers, and in between we have these. We're at the end of our class, and I don't want to go beyond that. I will, in the next couple of weeks, offer some voluntary classes on astrophysics, black holes, white dwarfs, red giants, that kind of stuff, for people who want to hang out. You can come by and watch the class and maybe learn a little bit about astronomy. And over the next couple of weeks, obviously, otherwise you have spring break. But what exactly does that mean? Okay, it says MW, which is microwave. I will also take a picture of this board and I will post it in the Google Classroom group. Okay, good. Okay, nice hanging out with you guys. Have a good break. Be healthy. Be active. Don't figure out how to balance your life. You can do this, guys. We can do this together. We'll see you guys in 2.5 weeks after break. Probably not at school, but we'll probably see you guys back here on this YouTube channel in the week after break. Bye-bye.
That was called Work Can Bid.